Everything's news now. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Don't worry about it.
I love you, Jonathan.
I love you as well, EddtheWordSmith.
Hi. I'm not one to get political. But as we're all feeling various things over the last couple of weeks, and we're centering it very much on how it makes us feel, we have to remember to acknowledge the most marginalized, the most hurting. Those of us born with a camouflage to get through the next few years need to acknowledge that and understand that if your fight is starting now, in 2024, the amount of privilege that you have. Because there are groups of people that have been fighting for hundreds and hundreds of years, nonstop, ceaselessly, and it's just another day for them. All right? Think about our immigrant populations. They've been telling us for years what they want to do to them. People have been telling me I'm catastrophizing. I don't care. They've been telling us what their plan is all along, and I am very nervous for our immigrant population. I'm very nervous for all of our black and brown populations and whatever intersection that is, are impoverished, trans, gay. Look out for those folks, okay? All right? We'll make it. We have to take care of those of us that are going to have the hardest time, all right? I love you all. I say that with all the love in the world. Anyway, I'm going to share a piece I wrote prior to the election. So this is something that, you know, it speaks to cultural shit, but it's not really election related. And strangely enough, I wrote this and somehow ended in a place where a poem I wrote a couple of years ago started. It's just weird how that works out. And so I called this the Prequel. You ready? When COVID landed in the U.S. and all these businessmen saw an opportunity to get even more rich, to exploit the tragedy by raising prices on bread and meat and TP, the public got angry. We reacted in a way that was suitable to the level of depravity we were seeing. So, when inevitably a movie gets pitched, or an 8-episode miniseries on Apple TV which exposes what those ghouls did, we will watch and celebrate the achievement with Golden Globes and Emmys without recognizing the irony. Thank God all those altar boys got molested. So now we have a story which will drive Americans to our network, and we can bless the stockholders of FX or AMC, and we can profit from the horrific abuses of priests. Praise Jesus. And let's hope we find out it's worse than we originally believed, so we can have a compelling storyline for season 3, because the second season saw viewership dip so low we thought about canceling the show. But then several more young men came forward, and I can already see the light bulbs of the paparazzi flashing, blinding the newest young stars of the week. We'll call the victims heroes, and they'll sit down for interviews on Fox News and MSNBC, and the host will nod sympathetically and lean in when they speak. It's a good thing we own the network too, because it's basically free publicity. And this will be a great way to inflate the value of our production company before we get bought out by Paramount or Disney. 3 cheers for chemical waste. Without it, there wouldn't have been a 5th Oscar nomination for Albert Finney, or a win for America's sweetheart Julia Roberts, who, according to IMDb, was paid an unprecedented salary of over $20 million. That's enough to make the struggles of the plebes worthy to touch our screens. After all, off a budget of only $52 million, Aaron Brockovich grossed well over $256 internationally, which makes the suffering of working class communities valuable to the elite. The entertainment industrial complex needs our grief. Without our hurt, the box office bleeds, and we can call Tom Hanks a 2-time winner from the Academy only by the grace of HIV, making him the most bankable star of the 1990s. 300,000 gay men died of AIDS approximately just so he could out his drama teacher in his acceptance speech. And so we can someday see him play Captain Phillips and Sully. And if not for the rise of fascism in Germany, we'd certainly never have witnessed the magnificence of him leading a charge on Omaha Beach. The deaths of 29,000 U.S. soldiers in Normandy was a sacrifice surely made worthy by the fact the studio recouped half its budget in just the first week. And soon we'll see a new Bratz live action movie starring Sydney Sweeney. I heard it's about feminism and gender identity, and the toy manufacturer MGA are even gonna make fun of themselves in it. It will open alongside a flick about the guy who invented the AK-47, the most popular weapon for school shootings, and it will be praised by all the critics. It will be directed by Christopher Nolan, and Cillian Murphy will play Kalashnikov with a thick Russian accent. It will be dubbed the Kabratsnikov Summer, and doll sales will skyrocket, and both films will become classics. And I just read that Adam McKay turned in a new script to Netflix the other day about the collapse of some corporate monolith, which left thousands of black families hungry. Matthew McConaughey is attached to play one of the leads. So is Chris Pratt and Margot Robbie. And insiders say it's a vehicle which could mark a comeback for some actor from the 80s, but Wells Fargo is threatening to pull their funding if they can't hire some writers to tweak some of the bits about discrimination and redlining. And China says it won't see a release at all if they don't remove a scene of 2 men hugging, or at least make sure their cheeks aren't touching when they embrace. And bankruptcy is imminent, if not for the market overseas, but that would just mean a future movie will be filmed about the downfall of the streaming giant, told from the perspective of the employees, and the antagonist will be corporate greed. It will be financed by Sony, and it's kind of like that Spider-Man meme. And at the end of the day, the CEOs and executives behind the scenes will laugh and celebrate the release of a new film about some atrocity, while we, the working class, will be scavenging for something to eat, which we'll only be able to do once we have tattooed upon our brow or wrist or feet the cinemark of the beast. Thank you.